Hi everyone. The topic of this article is AFRL Developing Cyber Range for Space Operators. This article is mainly talk about using the cyber training range to practice defending satellites using the actual spacecraft in the orbit. The Air Force Research Laboratory will use experimental CubeSats to create a training environment for cybersecurity exercise. The AFRL Information Directorate is trying to build a cyber range for both the Space Force and other organizations. This cyber range would be used to realistic simulate the alien cyber attacks on the satellites and ground system. Since the US military worries its satellite networks could be attacked and targeted. And this is the reason why they wanted to create a cyber training range and simulate some real attacks to test and determine if the strengthening of the cyber defense of satellites is satisfied. Based on the statement from Harris, who is the program manager at the AFRL Information Directorate. Some cyber defense experts are recently more concentrated on the work of the space area and focus on how to improve the cybersecurity. Besides, with the growing demand for cyber defense exercise, a simulated cyber training environment is necessary, which is used to replicate the real-world satellite operations. However, although there is much equipment for the cyber defense exercise, none of the military researchers or operators can be able to use the real spacecraft to practice defending satellites. In this case, AFRL decided to cooperate with a research and development company that specialize in the development of space cyber range. And then this cyber training range is necessary and indispensable for AFRL that provide them a space environment used for the practice of defending satellites. And they could determine the concepts, technologies, and the next generation cyber defense abilities that used for this practice. This research will have a good chance of success if the funding issue can be solved. But in my opinion, I think this is not a big problem because the government will provide the funding support for them. After all, the research can not only protect human and society, but also promote the development of the space field. Besides, operating a real spacecraft in the space to conduct the satellite defense practice will contribute a greater impact and influence than only simulating the test with virtual equipment in the laboratory.